Corner podcast. My name's Geoff, and his name is Paul, and we're joined by our very good friend, Mr. Al DEWAR, this evening. Good evening, sir. How are you?
I'm very good. I'm quite upset there. I wanted to say my name is Al, but
yeah, well, you like to Ronnie thing.
Well, let's start it again, just in case anyone skipped forward 30 seconds on their podcast. That was really
2
confused.
hours. Skip forward to the end.
Hello, my name is. Well, dear, now.
He still messes
now
it
I've
up.
completely lost the plot.
Just
hello, welcome to Who Corner to Corner.
The moment's gone, Geoff.
It's gone. We'll save it. We'll save it for next time.
Hi, everybody. I'm Paul, by the way. Pleased to meet you all. Hope you're having a fab time. Listen to our lovely podcast. We've got Al DEWAR with us, who works for Character Options, some little company somewhere that makes Doctor Who figures or something. So anyway, we're going to have a little chat with him and figure out what he's going to say. And hopefully it'll be of interest to you all. All right. Here it goes. How's that?
Figure it out.
Was that any better?
That was good, yeah. Figure it out.
Yeah,
very good, yeah. So we've got quite a lot to talk about tonight.
Yeah,
like Paul just said, last Friday was the reveal of the 2026 Vortex character online exclusive figure range, which was very, very exciting, indeed. And we've got some questions from our listeners over on Twitter, which we're going to go through as many as we can. As always,
we got any on Blue Sky as well?
No, we didn't get any on Blue Sky, actually. Do you know what? It's so random. Like, sometimes Blue Sky gets a load of stuff and Twitter gets nothing, and the other way around. But whenever you come on now, we always get a ton of questions.
Flurry. There's a literal flurry.
Flurry. Well, I'd quite like to know I know what you think, Geoff, because you've been in on the big secret for quite a while.
I have, yeah.
But I'd be interested to know what Geoff. I'm sure you told him, by the way. I'm not under any illusions. You black. But I'd still like to know what.
It was a complete surprise.
I obviously did tell you a couple of things, Paul. Did I tell you everything? I can't remember if I did or not.
There were some nice little surprises in there. I didn't know about the Cybermen. They're looking pretty funky. Yeah.
Really? You didn't know about Cybermen?
Didn't know about the Cybermen. No. Of course, we had our Cybermen special last week, so I was kind of riding the wave of that. I was literally excited. I kind of almost fell.
I don't think I've listened to that. Damn.
It's a good one. You missed out.
It was good, actually. We had a really good chat on that, yeah. And we did say at the beginning, as you might have seen by now, the figure announcement has come out. We'll discuss it a little bit later in this episode. Then we got so into talking about Cybermen, we totally forgot to go back to the figures.
but to be fair, you did send me a tiny little snippet to tease me, didn't you, of a Primord? And
yes,
I knew what it was straight away. I was very excited. So
yeah,
I would be very surprised if you didn't. Like, the Primords are so kind of like
iconic.
I still think in some ways they're very silly, not helped by John Levine.
Oh yeah,
properly over egging it once. Full kind of carry on screaming makeup on. He just goes hell for leather, and it's a bit kind of.
I love that though. I love
it's one
that.
of my favourite stories. I just think Inferno is just fabulous.
It's great. Yeah,
it's on the shelf. I don't see the shelf behind me on the narrow screen, but I've got Inferno, Ark of Space, and Web of Fear behind me right there. See, look at that.
Inferno on paper should be really dull, in my opinion. Inferno should be really dull. It's a bunch of people mining, slime's coming out, and kind of popped to an alternate universe, and it's all gone even wronger. Good English over there. But it just I don't know. There's something about that story. It's actually quite disturbing in places.
I think it was.
Anyway, yes. So I really like it. So you liked you were surprised by the Cybermen.
Surprised by the Cybermen. I love my little Revenge of the Cybermen figures. And I think they look fantastic. I'm quite intrigued by the Wirrn as well. Is that the first time we've seen a Wirrn in the race?
First time. When I sort of weirdly, there was another figure that was going to be done instead of the Wirrn, right up until the last minute, and then in a complete bait and switch, I had to leave that one, and I was like, right, well, I know exactly what I'm going to do, so I said I'm going to do a Wirrn.
It's going to be the Wirrn.
I had with Joanne, the engineer, I said, we're doing this, blah, blah, blah. Went to see Andrew over at Design Works and said, how do you fancy sculpting a Wirrn? And he goes, I've waited 20 40 years or something. He said, I waited 40 years to basically sculpt that.
That
must
must
have
been
you and me both. So together.
That must have been quite a tricky one though, with his little antennas and insecty legs.
It was. It was quite. It was quite tricky. And to be fair, the sculpt was beautiful and it was all nicely articulated, and my tooling model looked lovely. And then I sent it to Geoff, and he sent me a picture. And I think when he opened it, he must have been so shocked he hit it with a fly swat, because I got a picture back of a box of shrapnel. And he said,
"Yeah, I didn't send you that picture, Paul. I wonder if I could quickly WhatsApp it over to you to put in. Actually,
you got the other one. This is the so what we're looking at now is the released one, isn't it?
That was eventually after it had been put back together. As you look very closely, you'll notice that I think it's the left antennae, as we're looking at it there, has a snap just above the first joint.
No, it was left us on him, wasn't it?
Yeah, so I think it's there where you just were. I think it's on that other side.
This one.
Anyway, that was broken. All the legs were broken.
Yeah.
The head was off.
So I opened up the box that he was sent in, and I have to say it was really well. Like the packaging was really good. He was in a box.
Excuse me for 2 seconds. My washing machine is on spin and it's making the door vibrate.
Okay, I tell you what. Whilst Al does that, I'll just see if I can find this. We can always cut this bit, Paul, and I'll send you a picture quickly and see if you can.
Sorry, apologies, everyone.
That's right, Al. I was just saying we could cut this bit, but if you're okay with it, I'll send Paul the picture of the broken Wirrn if we could show it.
You just WhatsApped it.
No, I'm just looking for it. Would that be okay, Al, or would you rather we did it?
Fine. Yeah, it's fine. Right. Yeah, I mean, it was quite. I mean, it wasn't funny at the time because the way we were doing it was we were basically. Let me know if you can. There's still a slight vibration. Let me know if you guys can hear it. But
seems all right. Can't hear
it. What we were doing, and part of the reason that Geoff was doing all this for us was normally what would have happened is we'd have got a paint master, we'd have sent it to a photographer up north, and it would have had some photographs done and some bits and pieces done, and then we'd have got it back. We were so tight on getting the painted. That is really annoying. Hold on, sorry.
I've sent it to you, Paul.
Yeah, I've got it. I'm just sorting it out now.
Sorry, I can't concentrate when something sounds like there's somebody digging up the road next to me. So what we were doing was we were literally the tooling model was coming from China. I was driving it across to Design Works in Windsor to drop it off. 2 days later, I was getting a cold, or not 2 days. I mean, they take a long time. So let's say it was 3, 4, maybe even a week. It depended on the character. As soon as they were ready, I had to arrange to get them picked up and then taken over to Geoff. So that Geoff could basically take some photos and do some videos. So he was literally WhatsApping me saying, I've done this. Is this okay? Is this okay? And I'm like, yeah, fine. This looks good. Jason was in on it, and he was sort of giving top tips and all his sort of stuff.
I'll just say on that, actually, before we go further, doing the whole project, not only was I, really grateful to be asked to do it, and it was a real thrill. It was a real learning curve as well, because, doing the figures, and obviously some of them we had to be a bit delicate with, didn't we? So the kind of movement was a bit limited and things. But
judging by the Wirrn, Geoff, I don't think you did.
And the first figure I did was
the tarmac before you.
Yeah.
What?
So the first figure I did was the.
Thank you.
So there it is.
That's the fella.
I opened the box up and I was like, "Oh, that looks a bit of a mess in there." And I took it out and I thought, "Am I supposed to?"
You could tell something was wrong. Geoff said, "Is it supposed to look like this?"
Yeah, it's supposed to look like that. Is it an assembly kit?
Yeah.
You know damn well it's not.
Oh no! Look, yeah. Oops.
Yeah.
And
he got annihilated, so he came back to me.
And Al, you said,
go on.
Sorry, Al, you said, do you want to sort of try and glue it? And I said, well, you know, I don't feel confident enough to do that. And obviously, you know, we need this to look its best. And as you can, I managed, so the ones on the left there, as you're looking at it, sort of clipped back in fairly well. But then you got the two sort of creamy wounds there. And I did try blue tacking the legs back in, but they just kept falling off.
Blue tack, big splodge of blue tack melted it on.
And I fiddled I fiddled for a bit, and I was like, yes, it's not going to work, and I don't want to try super gluing it. So that delayed us slightly, didn't it?
It didn't. It wasn't bad, actually. It was a lesson to me, to be honest. I should have just sent it a bit more. So what happened was when it came back, I glued it, and everything went back perfectly. Interestingly, people will notice that the eyes on this one that you're showing everyone is amber. Now, that kind of came from the original. I think it's the Target novel depending on which reference you get, the eyes are a bit more orange. But actually there's a request to make it, exactly. There's a request to make it more green, which it actually is. I went back and looked because I was about to argue the toss with lovely Ross at the BBC, who was the one that said, I think you need to check the eyes. And I went, okay. I went back and I was like, oh, right enough. They are not bright orange, as I had instructed everyone to paint them. So those were doctored in Photoshop to the colour they're going to be when we actually produce it.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was all put back together.
Yeah.
All the horses and all the king's men.
Packaged up the same way in one piece. And I'll tell you what, Al, when it came again, I was quite nervous opening it. I thought, God, if this is, busted again, we got a bit of a problem here.
I hand built that box it came in using glue and foam core, and then literally tied it into the box using string so that it was immobile. And so it literally had a kind of it was a bit of a bespoke coffin we created for it.
It was, yeah.
And so, but it worked. It worked fine.
It was good. And I was saying, doing the photography was a kind of learning curve, really, because the first one I did was the Primord, and I sent you the first picture, and I just kind of had him standing, and you said, or maybe it was Jason, have the arms out a little bit. So I did that, and then when you're photographing these things that are, relatively small, your focal range, and so that's my video camera there with a 70 to 200mm lens on. So this is the really high-tech studio. If you really want, you can see my book collection on the shelf there.
You got bubble wrap there as well. Is that from the Wirrn? Is that an extra?
No, that had a Cyberman in it. And
it's coloured green. You could put it on your hand, couldn't you? And just do the whole thing.
Yeah.
No.
So
sorry. Do you know the third bit of that? Sorry, go on. Geoff.
I set my LED lights up, and we did a few tests, didn't we, with the background cloth. Initially, we had a green/blue screen cloth, and the green screen didn't work very well because I tested it with the Fugitive Doctor figure, and where the yellow on the gun was and the bits on a shirt, they kind of disappeared because green is close to yellow. And if you were doing stills, you'd be able to kind of mask it off and fix it and stuff. But with the figures turning on the turntable for the videos, it was just
and movement and stuff.
Yeah, it was impossible. Hopefully those video clips will come out at some point. So I then went to the blue screen, and that worked fine. And then we ummed and ahed about what we were going to do for the background, didn't we? And ended up going with a high-tech white bed sheet there, which worked well because it had a little bit of texture behind the figures and stuff.
Yeah.
But photographing at such a small focal range would mean, if you had an arm raised up, you had to take the focus on the hand, and then on the figure. And then comp them together. It was quite eye-opening. We think we talked about that, Al, and I was talking to my dad about it, and one of his friends does a lot of fishing photography and takes insect pictures, and Dad said, when he's doing insects, there'll be 10 different focal parts to the thing, and then it's all comped together because it's so small you can't get it in. So it's given me a new appreciation for like jewellery, photography and the figures.
Macro,
exactly, yeah. So I set up at home there, and the figure would come in, I'd whack everything up, do it, send Al a couple of pictures and say, is this what you want? And then get on with it. So it was a lot of fun doing it. I really learned quite a lot, and enjoyed it. And we had to do, you can't see it in the picture there, but I had to have a height sort of reference, didn't we, Al? So I used one of the kids' Nintendo Switch cartridge boxes.
Oh, okay.
So I think I sent Jason that this is how big it is, this is how tall, so that everything could kind of be measured, against that. But I had the camera in the same position each time at the same height and stuff, and to keep all that kind of fairly similar. So that was fun doing that as well. So I was saying, like, the Primord was the first one, and once I kind of got around that was a bit of kind of learning curve. And then the Cyberman, there was a challenge with that as well, wasn't there, Al?
Yeah, was that because he kept bleaching out, or because of the arm?
No, it was because we only had one, and we had to make it look like there was two.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yes, yes. We had one. You're absolutely right.
And I did do a test with the Cyberman on one take on the turntable on one side and on another take on the other side, and then I did attempt to composite it together in a video to have two of them, but it was horrific, and I kind of gave up after a little while. I couldn't make it work properly.
Bit where they kind of, in theory, sort of. But I thought that video and the images came out very well. See, what was interesting about that Cyberman was, I think, so these Cybermen are specifically the later ones, the Capaldi ones, and that the way that one was painted, it was done in a very bright silver, which actually made it really flat. And actually, the production one has a sort of darker undersuit and various other things. So I thought you did pretty well to get that to kind of pop in the way that it did.
I think it came out all right. Yeah, I noticed that the pictures there were slightly darker.
So if you look at that, what they've done is the sort of contrast has been sort of bumped up, but actually the Cybermen themselves have a brighter set of armor and a slightly darker undersuit.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
Because what happened in Nightmare and Silver, if you look at them, they're actually really silver.
Yeah.
And it makes them sort of flare out and become a bit flat. And then obviously when they got to Dark Water, they'd move to a slightly gunmetal color. So it's slightly darker, and the undersuit was a bit gray, and that really made the panels pop, and it looked much better. So I was kind of like, we're going to do that version.
Yeah, it looks good, and you're right, because that Cyberman, when it's got quite a lot of light blasting at it on a white background, on a reflective silvery.
There, didn't we? He's pretty much invisible.
He's blowing out there. Yeah.
It genuinely looks like an outline.
You see how silvery he is there, whereas
I thought you'd just drawn on a bedsheet or something, trying to make out you were photographing Cybermen. Yeah, he's just drawn on a bedsheet. That old trick again, That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's making out he's photographing all these characters, and he's not really
just imagining
messing around. But that's okay. So we're looking at a picture now with the whole range. We've got some individual shots to look at as well. But I mean, it is quite a significant range, isn't it?
Yeah, what in terms of I mean, so
it's quite broad. It covers a few eras.
Yes, and it ended up being it's weird because the original layout had all the classic stuff on the right, weirdly, and then on the left, and I kind of thought, that doesn't feel right. So it does. I mean, Series 7, that Liz and Primord, that was a set that was due to be released, and then it got leaked and it got pulled. And I know people sort of say, it was eventually going to come out. But that new Liz Shaw is completely different from the original one.
Yeah.
So when I did go back and look at that was completely redone. We added I know we'd had a nesting sphere before, but I had to put I really wanted to have a Metabelus crystal for the Third Doctor, so I had a transparent tool in there. So I thought, well, it kind of makes sense to do and I felt we hadn't quite got the nesting energy sphere right the first time, but you have no idea the joy of having a Metabelus crystal in the hand of a tiny little figure.
Yeah.
And the actual sculpt that Andrew did of Liz is, I've said it a couple of times that I wasn't 100%. Not that it wasn't a good sculpt; it was an absolutely lovely sculpt. But in the intervening years, because that's from when it was cancelled to the new one, I've grown to sort of have a much bigger appreciation of season 7 generally. I really like it. In fact, I really want to go back and do another Pertwee, like a sort of the original Spearhead version. Anyway, that's not the point. It was, what I did notice was that Caroline John is absolutely lovely. She does, as she goes on. I think she was pregnant and maybe she lost weight. Becomes a little bit thinner in the face. But if you look at her in Spearhead in Space, she is absolutely beautiful. And I thought, actually, if we're going to do this, I think we have to kind of really do her justice. So, and bear in mind, these are paint masters, so they never look quite even as good as you get in production. But the previous version, the hair was a little cruder. It was more blocky. She had a little bit more of a
detail, isn't it? With
she had a little bit more of a masculine look, and her body was a little bit sort of more masculine. And it's personal taste at the end of the day. But I thought, well, I don't want to end up with a hybrid where I've got previous sculpt and we're just going to plonk a new head on it and whatever. So I had her remade from scratch. She still uses Joe Grant's hips and legs, but so you will notice that she is of Joe Grant.
She is of Joe Grant.
but it's interesting. So she now has ball joint neck.
She said it's changed a bit.
Ball joint shoulders. She's got much more detailed hair.
Yeah, there's a lot of detail there. Ringlets.
It doesn't maybe flatter quite as much as it should, but the actual sculpt is stunning. And then Mr. Primord.
I'll just say
love his eyes.
The sculpt for Caroline is absolutely superb. Having seen it, in hand, and the final one's going to be just brilliant. I don't know how much I can say, Al, but photographing the Liz figure, the dress at the back didn't quite join up, did it?
Yes.
So I couldn't do any.
It's a tooling model, and the way she's made is because the seam is down the back of the dress. So
So I couldn't do any sort of back shots on the figure, which was a shame, because the back of the hair looks great, doesn't it? It's really detailed.
It does. In fact, the whole figure I did, because I've got a couple of first shots, and I've played around with the head, and actually when you move the head, funnily enough, the hair actually doesn't just kind of, as you might expect, twist and distort. So it actually works quite well. But the whole silhouette of her is absolutely fantastic when you see it. The silhouette of the figure in terms of the way Andrew reads the body and the hips, it just and the new arms with the internal pins. I mean, it's absolutely fabulous. The Primord is, as many people have spotted, basically the old Dr. Constantine.
Yeah.
And
right.
you literally couldn't get a better match, because essentially Dr. Constantine was a bloke with a three-piece suit underneath. Yeah. And Dr. Stallman or Professor Stallman is.
Professor Stallman, yeah.
Look with and he has that slight sideways gate going on. So it was perfect. He's got Stallman's linen suit, the lab coat, and the
tie as well.
Yeah, and it works. It
works.
It looks crazy. There's a lot of expression in the face.
Yeah,
You've got
really
one eye
good.
sort of half closed in that snarl, one-sided snarl on the face.
There is, and it does work. It does work really well, and he's I don't know. He's just he's got. Funnily enough, the first color sample I got, his nose was quite black, which kind of made him a little bit Wizard of Oz. With the
Cowardly Lion, like.
Yeah. Actually, I bumped it back to brown, more closer to the Paint Master. Instantly, kind of just looked better. Yeah.
They're good looking figures. Looking forward to them. So then we got Tom. We've got a new Tom.
Just one of my favorites. So this is a bit of a hybrid. It started off as a figure where essentially we'd chosen two stories, Robots of Death and then Shada. The idea being that you could kind of bump between them.
Yeah.
Budget didn't 100% allow for that. So what it is it's Robots of Death with the wrong feet.
Right, let's have a look at the feet. Let's scroll up here over Butcher's.
Or it's Shada. In essence, he has a pop-off or replaceable front piece. So that
is that in the group shot?
So he's got either the Shada waistcoat or he's got the tartan sort of jumper underneath. It's one of the few times when I've sent something back to get repainted, but the tartan waistcoat, I don't think the guys at DesignWorks will mind me
it's not in that
saying that the tartan waistcoat came, and I just looked at it and went, what I'm not happy.
I'm not doing that.
Because it was bright yellow, and actually I went and found a bunch of reference pictures, and it's much more a sort of muted brown. It just looked too bright. It just was like, whoa. I was like, that's I don't like that. So it's one, as I say. And then on the jacket as well, we bumped it. It was a little bit redder. It's essentially his longer coat. He tended to wear a frock coat of a certain length, and in Robots of Death and in Shada, he wears a slightly longer jacket. But it's a lovely figure. It's a really, again, this is a Paint Master, but I've got the first shot. It's got a really. My worry was he looked a bit like he was lost in it.
Right.
It looks amazing.
It's a good silhouette, isn't it?
It's a really nipped in waist. So it gives him a lovely shape. He's got the ball jointed shoulders, the internal pins. He's got a hand that holds a bag of jelly babies for the first time. He's got a hand that is a sort of classic Tom Baker. You know when Tom Baker used to walk in the room and go, "Stop!" You'd hold his hand. So he's got one hand that you can hold up with this stuff, which just amazing. He's got two different heads. I know a couple of people have commented on the expression. I have to say the Paint Master on this one was not particularly good. The happy one wasn't brilliant. The solemn or the more serious one was the better one of the two. But unfortunately, what happened was the figure came to me and I couldn't change the heads over. So I had to photograph it with that particular head. What I will say is I've seen the first shots, and like the CAD, the first shots are fantastic. So I would say, as always, I mean, you know, when you're using Paint Masters, it's not what you're going to get in final production. So I know there's a lot of people out there picking holes in everything and saying, "Oh, this isn't good and that doesn't look good."
Yeah,
and
this quick to jump on it.
When you get a model in a flexible material and you're trying to paint it with paint on the top, which isn't what happens in production, and it's, you know, it's not 100% indicative of what you will get. And then,
I mean, you know, seeing it looked, I could, you know, exactly what you said, and I thought, I can tell this is going to be really good when it's, you know, finalized. You know, and when I photographed it, the hat was on the other head, wasn't it? Is that right? They got swapped round and.
Yeah, it's a weird one. It was designed by Andrew brilliantly and cleverly as having interchangeable heads. The idea being that you could actually take the hair or the hair and the hat and swap it in your head. What happened was my engineers, unfortunately, when they went to the tooling model, they keyed it so that only one head will fit on only one other. So I had to choose to have which head had the hat and which didn't. And actually, it's different from what's shown here, but people will find out, because obviously before we release each set, what we will essentially do is we'll release images of the final one. Also, it's got the popped collars, and the reason, with the best will in the world, I wrapped the scarf as neatly as I could and sent it to Geoff. I had to kind of try and
don't touch it.
Don't mess the scarf. Yeah,
photo it. But when that scarf is done properly and laid on sort of tight, the technique I found was that if you wet the scarf, and I'm going to do a little video to go along with it, if people want to do it, they can. Basically what happens is when you wet the scarf, it immediately puffs up and becomes like wool, funnily enough. But it shapes really well. So essentially what I did was I wet it, and then using reference photos, I kind of wrap it around the bottom, the collar and the coat, and kind of you can twist it and you can kind of just adjust it enough, and then it really nicely fits onto the figure. It was the one bit I was kind of like, I really want to use a fabric scarf, and I consulted a couple of people and they said no. And I was like, well, you say that. And I had a previous iteration and I thought, this is good, but it's not great. And then Joanne worked on finding me a nice fabric, and it worked pretty well. And I thought, well, I'll wet this and wet it and just layer it on the way I want it. So again, what you're looking at is a paint master, and what's happened is the scarf has slightly undone itself. But if you bear in mind that it's slightly undone itself, it's
pretty good.
It still looks good.
Plastic,
nicely wrapped,
that goes around. And because you've got those lovely popped collars, you do want to be able to put the scarf under the popped collars. That's the whole point.
Yeah, it's good. It's a nice detail there.
There's no point in having a Vortex figure that has much more articulation than any Vortex ever has before, and then suddenly have it limited by a big scarf that you hang over his head. Or have to pull his head off to. So I was like, got no issue. Let's just do it.
I'm not sure if I told you actually. When I opened up Tom when he arrived, I thought, oh, he looks fantastic, and I picked him up, and his lower left leg was still in the box. I pretty much shit myself, and I was like, oh no. And then it just sort of popped back in. But they're obviously like you're saying, they're the paint masters, and they're not quite the final ones.
They're not finished products.
They're not. And actually, that paint master arrived broken, and the design works guys got the CAD and reprinted that leg. But obviously, it's an internal pin, so they could take the old one out, but they couldn't put the replacement part in and actually hold it in position, so that's why it fell out. But he's got the sort of pirate, what I affectionately call the Shadow pirate boots, and he's got ankle articulation, which I don't think comes across particularly there, but his ankles actually go forward and back and flip left and right.
You can sort of see a little bit of the
tiny
shape
bit,
of it there.
Sort of lose definition on that. Interesting. Oh, that sounds fun.
He's going to be really good. And the bag of jelly beans is a really great accessory. Photographing that was a real challenge, because it's designed to go in his hand. So
it's tiny, and we've given him a new Sonic, because the Sonic that the third and fourth Doctor had always felt a little bit. Well, it was from 2010, so technology's marched on a bit. So I'll give him a decent Sonic. So he's had a new, slightly.
Nice. And we talked about the Wirrn, didn't we? So the Wirrn's got a little Wirrn larvae with it. With that as well.
Grub.
A little grub.
Yeah.
The grub is actually bigger than that. I think just the way the photograph's been done.
So not
the grub is.
Yeah, I've got. I can send you another picture, Paul. Actually, of me being.
If you've got a high res one,
attacked by the.
Don't send any pictures of that one.
Okay,
Geoff.
we'll stick with what we got, Geoff.
Okay, all right,
only because there's certain ones are like that's the reveal photos, and we have to kind of. I think the Cybermen and the Yeti we can kind of talk about in detail, but we should probably stick to the. By all means, send it to Paul. Just don't show it.
Okay. I'll leave it.
But yeah, I think you're right. It is bigger compared to. Bigger.
Yes.
Yeah, the Wirrn is quite sizable because of its legs and everything coming out.
The Wirrn's pretty massive, and the grub is bigger than shown in that image. But I mean,
detail's got little legs on him.
It's certainly bigger than we're seeing there. It's a lovely little accessory.
Yeah.
What isn't obvious on the Wirrn image is just how that body works. So it looks very Wirrn-like from the front. Classically, that's exactly how you imagine it. But when you actually turn it on its side, in order to get it to stand, the sort of the lower abdomen curls right down, and then the pincers come forward in a slightly more aggressive. Sort of there was much debate about whether the Wirrn should just stand on kind of just literally the end of its butt.
Yeah,
it didn't quite make sense. And the minute you kind of curl the abdomen under and put the pincers on the end, it becomes instantly a lot more threatening.
Somehow works. Yeah. It's kind of weird in the TV show, actually, isn't it? With the original effects, what they look like little Pontypines, little wooden peg men or something, where they sort of bob around.
Really
it's a little bit disappointing, given how horrific the novel was when I first read it.
Yeah, and what's weird is when you look at you see the Queen at the beginning, that's the only time you see the pincers. So when you see the Queen, got the pincers. But she's been in there for 1,000 years or more, and she's actually been slightly greyed down. So all her colours are quite muted.
Yeah.
And then when you see the adult Wirrn later, Noah's, once he's transformed, sort of walking around in the control console, you actually see it's got a little bit more colour in it. It's got a little bit more vibrancy to it. So I don't know whether that was a deliberate thing or just the way it happened to work. But so there you see the eyes have been sort of
green,
readjusted to have this slightly more sort of green cast to them, and actually it works better. Right?
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah,
a lot of detail there again with the mandibles and that, isn't it?
Yeah,
and texture on the different.
So there's
legs.
not much articulation in the legs. They're essentially fixed, but because they're going to be flexible. You don't really need that, but there is a tiny bit of movement in the head, up and down, left and right, because it's pulled.
It's got a joint
and there's a swivel joint because the body is rotor. There's about the second part down there, just above where your cursor is. That next one up, there's a pivot joint there, So you can actually swivel the abdomen left and right.
Yeah.
That pack is massive because the Wirrn front pack is the deepest pack, funnily enough, because he's about 100 mil. He's just under 100 mil front to back. He's big.
It is, yeah.
So he's a bit of
a big un. He's a big un and a deep un. And then of course we've got the Cybermen, which we talked about, didn't we?
Cybermen are very cool. The chest boss with the glow is slightly, but not massively different. There you can see the adjustment to the undersuit to give it. Weirdly, the contrast is more than it is in real life. In real life, that contrast, because that undersuit almost looks black there. These are the images that the BBC. so I think I'm safe in saying the BBC guys told us off for using a non-standard background on our Vista.
Oh, really? Yeah.
And then they produced all these, which are all on different backgrounds anyway. Non-canon.
pop these out of Canva or
Yeah,
something, don't they?
So Centre Box, I was like, "Here, what's the story here?" Because
What's this?
couldn't do it, but suddenly you can, and
Random
he was like,
space background in orange.
So, so the undersuit is slightly darker, but it's not as different. And the back of the hand, if you look at that Cyberman there, darling, you'll see that the
This
back
fella?
and yes, it is the darker color. That back hand plate has actually been made silver as well.
Wow.
Just because I took it as being an armor part. I know it's not. I took it as being an armor part. So, and it looks really odd if you get it as a full. It stops at the wrist, and then the hand has no kind of armor on it. So, the outside of the. But yeah, they've doctored that quite severely to make the. It's quite interesting what they've done actually. So, they've mucked around it, and then the articulation on this guy is absolutely insane. It's insane. This guy sat on my desk for weeks because he was the first one sold up. And when I got it, I was just like,
just mess around.
God. You can. I mean, if you want to treat it as Nightmare in Silver, you can pose that guy. Literally, you can pose him in a running pose. It's mad. The amount of posability in that figure is brilliant. He's got that under the rib cage swivel joint. Just when people get that figure, they're just going to be like, "Holy hell!" I mean,
it's really good.
Considering it's not one of my favorite Cyberman designs, it's up there as one of my favorite figures that we've ever done.
Well, we were talking about this in our Cyberman episode, weren't we? We were talking about this guy and kind of came to the conclusion that maybe this Cyberman is a little bit underrated. One of the things we talked about was how insect-like the Cybermen in the Moonbase and then Tomb of the Cybermen seem to look. And actually, these guys have got it back because this is like a carapace, isn't it? This segmented armor in the lower body section that they have. And it kind of made me think back to what we said about, about the guys from the 60s.
It is in Siberia, isn't it, with the hive mind and the control.
Yeah.
The workers. I get that.
These guys are great.
And they've got that teardrop back in, haven't they? Teardrop eye detail. Yeah, it's good.
It's
really
amazing
looking
with
forward
the
to seeing
cyber
this.
helmets, and you'd have seen that, Paul, with your Revenge ones. The minute you make the eyes black, like it is a helmet, and there's something behind it. It changes the whole feel of the figure. But the arm is cool. The internal pin on the arm, when you move the arm up, you kind of, I think as I said it before on a different podcast. Never.
What? Beep.
When you bend it, because obviously there's a limit to how much the arm goes up, and there's a limit to how much the arm will bend. But because of the internal pin and the rotational joint, it's astounding. It's astounding.
Yeah.
It's how much toes you can get into it. You can have him standing sort of like arms back, bolt upright, standing to attention. You can have that kind of
still balanced.
Look to the side, and they're kind of like, and you're kind of like, oh shit,
There's going to be a lot of really good pictures with these guys.
Detail on the feet as well. So, are we going to see all this detail in the final version?
Yeah, it's all
fantastic.
I mean, this was one of the reasons this was so Andrew resculpted this entire figure, because when we went back to it's like, you have plans and they never work out. But my original plan was, we've got the 3.75 inch figure CAD. We'll just upscale it and everything will be fine. And I upscaled it and I went, well, that doesn't look right, and that doesn't look right, and that doesn't look right. And then I sent it to Andrew and said, I think this needs adjusted, and this needs adjusted, and this might need adjusted. And he basically came back and said, this is about as wrong as it could be. What would you like to do? And I said, just redo it.
Just redo
it. Just start over.
So an interesting tidbit, I should say, on this one is, so we had, I think as some people know, we'd done the Ashad, we'd scanned and sculpted the Ashad figure. So in order to get there's some bits of the geometry on this that kind of align with the Ashad figure. So a Shad, although he's never coming out, and he never, I don't think he ever will. It's just, but who knows? Maybe not with us, maybe with somebody else. I don't know. But he contributed to this Cyberman because we can use some of the scanned data of parts of the chest and parts of the arm and parts of the armor detail, and to sort of work on the geometry. So we know the geometry on this is correct because we took it from a scan. Though we've never scanned the Cyberman, we had enough plus all the reference material to, and he's just fabulous. As I say, I've forgiven this Cyberman quite a lot, really.
Underrated. He's underrated. So that's Nightmare and Silver Cyberman, and then of course we get some exciting
Dark Water Cybermen.
Dark Water Cybermen. Sorry, yeah, it's a slightly higher contrast version.
Listen, if you want to call it Nightmare and Silver, you can. In my mind, it's not. But I don't care if anybody wants to call it. It's a Cyberman.
I'm going to shine a bright light on them and just pretend that they're Nightmare and Silver one. So anyway,
Nightmare in Water.
Yeah, yeah. There you go. So 15th Doctor and Mr. Ding Dong and the Poodle.
So the 15th Doctor, we'll start with him because I think people, some positive and some negative comments. What I will say about the 15th Doctor is, in hand, that it is a freaking amazing figure.
Good, isn't it?
The difference in the paint ops is, and that is a factory sample, by the way.
How was it?
We didn't do a paint master. That's a factory.
No, I didn't photograph that one, did I?
So he has the jacket with the wash and the buttons that really looks amazing. He's got the new yellow shirt, which looks stunning. The factory have created an effect to get the trousers that is stunning.
There's some depth on these, isn't there?
The inside of the hips and the inside of the thighs. You could tell that there was a bit of bare plastic, so we changed all that, so you can't see that anymore. He's got a different coloured Sonic. It's not the blue one, although it's shown as blue there. He's got the new Sonic on that one. He's got new hips. So the previous iteration of this figure couldn't move the hips out and in. The figure I'd given them to follow, they followed literally, and that particular figure had moved front and back. I didn't realise at the time, but it didn't move. The first thing I did when I did my tear down of the figure was I was like, why the hell doesn't his legs move?
Yeah.
They were like, oh, it wasn't, you gave us this figure. And I was like, oh, crap. I was like, we've got to fix that. So we fixed it. So he's got fully mobile hips now, which every doctor needs. But without a shadow of a doubt, it is by far the better iteration of the. So and that's, like I say, you're looking at a factory sample. You're not looking at a paint master. We have added a slight wash to the shoes just to bump up the detail on those, but he looks
detail on that jacket as well, isn't it? I mean, it's a lot of material folds on the jacket, isn't it? It gives it a real sense of texture and depth. Like, look at all this detail, this bumping on the arms like that. It looks like a thing that is worn.
Yeah, it's really
good. Whatever you think about the stories or whatever else, I don't think there's any doubt that. I mean, he's the original Gen 3 figure, and by God, he looks good.
The face looks great as well. It's got his bone structure, his cheeks.
Yeah,
his lovely cheekbones. Brilliant neck. Look at that. That's fantastic. And then, obviously, over here, hello, everybody. I'm Mr. Dingaling. How are you guys?
Don't make me laugh.
So, is he a bendy?
Yes.
He's a bendy. Nick, in our office, begged me. No, that's not true. He didn't beg. He didn't ask me.
Begged you not to do it.
He'll kill me for saying that. He didn't beg me. He asked if he could do Mr. Ring-a-Ding, and I said, yes, you can. So he sculpted Mr. Ring-a-Ding, and he did a brilliant job. We worked on it together, but he's the CAD genius that did all the work. He is bendy, and he has a second head. The second head isn't shown here, but he's got a slightly different grumpy head.
Yeah.
but it's amazing when you first get the first shot and you can bend the arm in a particular direction and it stays there. It's
always
just
great fun with that, isn't it?
Yeah,
Fun.
So much fun. And he's got a ball jointed head, so the head actually does turn and tilt.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had to be careful with him, didn't I?
We did Stretch Armstrong instead.
I couldn't move him. Yeah. So yeah, I couldn't move him, which was a shame. But yeah, he looks really cool.
So we've changed a couple of things. Yeah. So there was a couple of minor paint changes on him, but nothing major. And like I say, the factory one looks obviously you can tell with the waistcoat is hand painted and all that. And we've tweaked a couple of the colours. I'll say Nick. I gave it to him as his project, and I said, "Look, you're doing the tear down. You're doing you're going to do the color spec. You're going to do everything. It's yours. Just let me know what you're doing." And he's done it. So Nick did it all, and
it's full of character, isn't it? I mean, it really
brilliant.
is.
And it's weird. He's a 2-dimensional figure, and the amount of arguing and discussion about how it looks from the side, which you never see, and all the other stuff is and we didn't ever get, funnily enough, in an oblique way, we were offered data for this, but it became a little bit contentious in the end. So, but Nick just basically
went with it.
Nick did a brilliant job on that.
It looks good, yeah.
And if you zoom out a little bit, Paul. So the one thing I will say is that is about the right size for him. He is.
That's
it is quite big, yeah.
He is slightly bigger. We couldn't make him small. We couldn't make him. If we'd made him small, I mean, if you look at him in the show, he's about 2.5 feet tall. Yeah. He's like Yoda, but you can't articulate anything at that size.
That's small.
So he is bigger than he should be. I don't think there's any denying that. But he does come with a stand, plus point. But we couldn't make him bendy and make him any smaller.
Yeah,
get him to work.
And this guy, does he come with Mr. Ding Dong?
He does. I don't like talking about him really because it was just, even though it was my idea, I said, we looked at various accessories and I said, fuck it, we'll just chuck Dugadoo in there.
Dugadoo, that's it.
because he's right small. And the people seem to love him. And again, this is a painted version, and I've seen the production version today. Well, I say today, it turned up on Monday, and it looks good. It's great. And again, the head turns.
Okay.
It looks. It's just
mad.
Cute.
That's what it looks.
It's cute and it's a bit mad. But I thought it was better than putting in just a random
Yeah.
I mean, we obviously looked at certain accessories to go with this, and I thought, well, what do you want? Do you want figures or do you want accessories? And I thought, actually, let's just put another figure in. So this one's sort of stacked with extra figures, and I think Dugadoo is a good accessory. Even though he has minor articulation, he's worth it. And again, what you're looking at there is painted. So the one that you'll get is brighter orange, and it's got all the lovely fur texture that Nick put in it that you can see a little bit.
Yeah.
I must admit, the DesignWorks guys, when they got that, they were kind of like, what do you want us to do with this? I was like, I want you to paint it.
Paint it. What do you think? Honestly.
You know when you can tell there's a little bit of internal resistance.
Yeah. You sense it in the room. Yeah. So, is this a 3-pack set, or are we looking at 2 sets?
Set, and you get the chest, the upper part of the Yeti comes with this.
Oh, of course, yeah, because the Yeti comes in parts, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So actually, we've got a better shot of the Yeti back here. There we go. So it's a Web of Fear Yeti, is it, as opposed to an Abominable Snowman?
No,
Yeti?
it's an Abominable Snowman.
It is the Abominable Snowman. Ah,
it is the original.
Original.
Well, once I'd kind of, and I'm sure we'll get onto it, but once I'd kind of discounted being able to use the original Web of Fear sculpt, I thought, actually, Abominable Snowman is 1967. it's my birth year, therefore it's massively more important than anything else.
Personal connection. There you go.
We should do the abominable snowman, so that's what we did.
There's a nice
minor design changes, wasn't
there is another slightly more mercenary reason for it as well, other than the fact it was my birth year, and I wanted to start with the original, which is we didn't have to put a ton of, because it's a collect and build, we didn't have to put a ton of accessories with it. We didn't have to put on and spheres and other stuff. So he's this one's very literal Yeti, albeit he's absolutely lovely.
There's a really nice little detail on the mouth. You can sort of see a little grill inside it, can't you? Which I assume is sort of a costume.
Yeah, so the paint master, you can see there on the shoulder, the paint is sort of wearing off from the white sort of joint on the left-hand side. If you look where it just joins the body. And he's a little bit glossy, which I've knocked off. So he's now very, very matte.
Right.
Other than the eyes. So what you can see in a bit more detail is the eyes, which are in there, little bunny eyes, and the tusks, which are in a sort of slightly off-white colour. They look really good.
He looks smashing.
Yeah, he's great.
So the Cybermen come with the head. 15 and Mr. Ringading come with that top section of chest. Tom Baker, the fourth Doctor, comes with basically half the Yeti. He comes with the hips and the legs and the feet. And the reason for that was the factory basically turned around and sort of said, look, if one, tolerances and the tightness have to be really consistent, and two, there is a chance the customer is going to assemble this in some half-arsed way. And they would. Not that they would. But there is a chance.
There's a chance. If it's possible, somebody somewhere will do it. I have learned this in life.
So they said, we would like to have this as one complete piece. And actually that worked better, because essentially you get half the Yeti with the fourth Doctor figure, which has the scarf, the accessories and all the soft goods and all the other bits and pieces. So it's a hefty set. It's over 1 kilogram of PVC, I was told. So you're getting half a kilo of Yeti with your fourth Doctor.
I mean, that sounds like a deal.
Yeah,
it's a deal. It's a deal. We worked out that if you hit somebody hard enough, you could probably
knock them out.
You could Yeti them unconscious.
Yeti someone to death.
Yeah,
easily. Not that we'd ever recommend that ever.
Yeah, we're not condoning such behaviour.
No, absolutely. It'd be very irresponsible of us to do that.
I mean, you have no idea the amount of work, thus getting it to Geoff on a car and having it taxied back and all the other stuff. But the amount of front end work on this to get this line done and everything ready up front was insane. Crazy. The plan is one a month, but there is a possibility that if the sets are ready, the way the guys at the mill have said is ship it just to get it in. So just get it moving.
And Al,
so
how does it?
On a month.
Brilliant.
So how does it work when people? So they've had to sort of register their interest, haven't they? And that means they get kind of pre-access basically when a drop is announced to go and buy the set. Is that right?
As far as I know, the interest level is just at the moment to basically I haven't dug into it deeply enough. I think it is literally just to kind of garner interest in the range. And you will be, if you do sign up, you will be given, which is why I think we can't tell people exactly when it's going to drop on this. But I think the plan is that if you do sign up, you will get a heads up email ahead of anyone else. Everybody will get it. But in essence, they'll be saying, this is going to go live. I don't think it gives you any privileges over and above that. But the way the system is supposed to work is that if you buy the first set, you will get a code which pre-assigns you the next set. So if you want to build the Yeti,
got it.
You and you buy the first set, or you buy 2 of the first set, or you buy 3 of the first set, you will be able to buy 3 of the second set, and so on and so on.
Right.
It's just a way to make sure that the collectors who want to build the Yeti will get to build the Yeti.
Yeah, because not everyone's going to want to.
The tail is not the first one. So if we get to the first set and it sells out, that would be amazing. But if it doesn't, but however many sign up for the first set and buy it straight off the bat, those people are basically pre-assigned stock from the second set. Whether they choose to take that up, it's completely up to them. So that's why I'm saying the second set is the tail, in that you might sell out everything on the first one.
Yeah, but what's the pickup on the second piece?
And then you might only sell 75% of the second one, which means, in terms of that, I've used the code, which means that there's 25% of the stock for somebody who's just a casual buyer who isn't interested in the Yeti but just wants that second set. And so on and so forth. So if that 75% continues to the third set, then you know that basically 75% of your people are trying to buy the Yeti, and they're all going to get pre-assigned stock. They know they're going to be able to build Yetis come the end of the process. And that's the plan. So it is biased towards the people that are building the Yeti, but that's the whole point.
That's the reward, isn't it? At the end.
That's the reward, because you don't want a situation where people are basically, as we had on the, and it's 10, 15 years ago, and the systems weren't in place for it. But the system is now in place where if you buy the first set, you're guaranteed the second set. If you buy the second set, you're guaranteed the third set, and so on. But if you want to duck out at any point, that set that you haven't bought into will just essentially become unassigned, and it will be a floating stock.
Just going to stock, Yeah.
So it might turn out that only 60% of the people that bought the first set actually want the Yeti. My suspicion is it will probably be relatively high.
Yeah.
And also there's less, I can't say exactly how much, but there is less stock going in of these than there was of the ones from last year. So there will be less. So it's feasible that the first set might sell out, and then you get to the second set and you might get 75% take up.
Yeah.
Using the code, and then you got the next one and you might get, 72%. Taking the code, and then you got the next one, you've still got 72%. So by that time, you kind of know that 72% of your people are trying to build a Yeti.
Yeah, Yeti hunting,
Yeti hunting. There's a pastime that's going to keep people busy while they assemble this thing, isn't it? Brilliant. Okay, looking forward to that. Then. That's going to be fun. And I'm just going to look through these little photographs again, because they do make me laugh. Of Geoff posing with the Yeti.
Look, you could, looking at the picture there with the Yeti and my...
You see the size of him, he's big, isn't he?
Yeah. I've got a fairly sizable head. So,
The Yeti is big. I mean, I think because we changed, it's a Vista image and we changed some of the sizes, but I mean, we know the average size of a figure is about 14 centimeters. So the Cybermen stand slightly taller than... So if you take the Fourth Doctor as a benchmark, the Cybermen are marginally taller than the Fourth Doctor.
Right.
The tall chap. The Yeti is significantly taller.
Yeah, he's looking small there, to be fair. Yeah.
The tail is the shoulder height. So if you look at, and the reason that the Yeti is taller is when you look at the original costume. If you go from the shoulder of the Fourth Doctor across to the shoulder of the Yeti, they actually line up. So the assumption is, when you go from the reference material, that it was a big bloke in a Yeti costume, not massively tall, but somewhere around the 6 foot. So the shoulders line up, which is why the original Yeti that we'd sculpted was so wrong, because when I pulled that out, I kind of looked at it and went, holy hell, this is really small.
Proportions
and
were
I lined it up with an existing figure, and the shoulder height of the Yeti was under the shoulder height of the figure. And I was like, that's not right.
That's not right. Yeah. That don't work, does it?
And we actually had, just before we went to cut steel, Joanne said, "Oh, is this the right height of the Yeti?" And I went, "Yes, I'm sure it is." And then I went, let's print it. And I printed it out, and actually it was wrong. It was wrong. So actually, we had Yeti Gate, where I had to the fourth Doctor CAD on screen and the Yeti on screen, and sort of like go, yeah, that's it. We'll take that. That's the size. Everything is the benchmark of everything is basically the Doctor, fourth Doctor, and the 15th
Fourth
Doctor.
That's the reference. Yeah, the alpha reference. Fantastic. Okay, I'm looking forward to seeing these guys.
And the one that looks smaller than they should be there is probably the Wirrn, who is
yes, in that lineup, definitely,
he's about the right height, but if you pull his bottom half down to the same level as the fourth Doctor, that's about the height you're looking at.
Okay, got you.
He's big
because the antenna make him look bigger as well.
Yeah. And Mr. Ring-a-Ding's smaller, I would say, arguably, than he actually is.
Right, okay.
But, it's a reveal, so it's... And then people are dissecting it in, minute detail.
Are they?
Yeah.
Have we got some people on our socials doing that sort of thing, Geoff?
Well, we have got some questions. We've got a couple of voice notes, haven't we, Paul? We've got one from Gallifrey Customs. Scott, would you like to
get to it, sir? Let's get to it.
Let's get to it. Right, okay. Let's hear from Scott first of all on SpeakPipe.
Hi guys, I just wanted to start off by saying to Al, thank you so much for such an incredible lineup this year. Every single one of those sets is just absolutely beautiful. I love the range from multiple eras. I just think it's so cool. So my question is actually for all three of you. I want to know what your favourite set is out of the bunch and why.
Oh, there you go. I didn't realise that was going to play a blank bit of video, actually. I should have done, because it's an MP4 file that was sent in. So, so all I would say is, if you're going to send an MP4 file, send us a picture of yourself so we can see you at the same time. But thank you, Scott. That's a good question. So I think I've said which one is the one I'm looking forward to, the favourite one, I guess. I'm really looking forward to the Cybermen. But what about you two guys? I mean, you've actually had a chance, obviously, to touch and feel them. You know a lot more than the rest of us mere mortals.
For me, funnily enough, I don't have a favorite. I'm so it's not self-indulgent, but I don't think we've ever done a set of figures that have kind of tried to satisfy everyone as much, and that have come out as well as they're better than I expected. The Cybermen, like I said, the articulation blew me away. The Yeti is astounding. It looks relatively simplistic as a figure, but somebody sort of said, "Oh, you've used two different prototypes in the images," and it's not. You can have that Yeti with his hands down, and he looks relatively passive. And the minute you go like that and bring the hands up in an aggressive pose, he looks completely different, and You only need a slight sort of tilt of the body. I had him sitting on my desk with one hand on the fourth Doctor's shoulder and one hand on the Cyberman's shoulder. So the sheer presence of that thing is astounding. The Ring-a-Ding is amazing. That set, I mean, 15th Doctor, amazing.
That does look good.
Shaw first shots. That is.
He's going to grace anybody's shelves.
I've seen the Primord. It makes me giggle every time I look at it. Just think it's hilarious.
Liz Shaw.
And Liz Shaw, just like I say, just astounding. The silhouette of that figure is just amazing. What that figure looks like. She's amazing. The Wirrn is the one I haven't seen anything on. I'm really interested to see the Wirrn shots, because I've seen the model.
Yeah,
but it's not like getting first shots. I mean, you get first shots, you're like, holy hell, that looks, so my level of expectation is high. But yeah, across the board, I wouldn't pick a winner out of that lot at all, because I just think as a range, they're probably the best.
Yeah, it all
done.
If
I couldn't make any figures tomorrow, I'd be a happy man. I'd be a happy man with what we produced.
If an order came down from on high and said you've got to throw them all in a skip, or we're going to set them all on fire, which one are you going to save?
Tom.
There you go. Geoff, what about you?
There's not a chance it wouldn't be Tom.
No, that's what I thought. But which head?
Yeah, which head? Yeah, I think it's
funnily enough the one without the hat, because
Okay. The Solomon.
Okay.
so iconically he has the hat. I think without the hat, he always, for me, without the hat, that would be. Yeah,
And
there
Geoff?
you go. You made me choose.
I did.
it's a great lineup. There's I mean, all of them are brilliant, and there's kind of features in each release that kind of stand out. I'd probably say the Tom, a really nice 4, and the kind of massive range of accessories. We didn't mention Ali, he's got alternate hands as well, hasn't he?
I think we touched on it, but he's got the stop hand, the Jelly Baby's hand, the normal hand. He's got a sonic screwdriver. He's got Jelly Babies to go in it. Yeah, he's got a lot of accessories. That guy.
He's really good. Yeah. Right, we'll come to some questions. Paul, do we have another speak pipe message as well?
We do. You can choose. We've got Stephen, and we have The Future is for Everyone, which does talk about Cybermen, but I think it segues nicely, actually. So should we listen to The Future? The Future. So here we go. So this was supposed to be on our last podcast, but I think since we're talking about Cybermen, we can bring this in. So let's have a listen to what they say.
Hi guys, Mondasian Cybermen for the win, as in 10th Planet, and especially how they're realized in World of Knife and Time and the Dr. Falls. Such a cool 60s look. You can believe that these are human bodies that have been tragically encased in a desperate move to survive. Love it. Do enjoy a bunch of other designs like the moon-based Cybermen and the cool warrior Cybermen and Time Lord Cybermen from Ascension and the Timeless Children. Assad would be the number 2. Incredible, tangible design. Now, my favorite Cybermen story is that trilogy from Villa, Diodati, Ascension, and Timeless Children. It's flawed in that the master comes in and hijacks their story arc, which is appropriate. He's the master. Now, the story that would have been my number 1 would have been Tomb of the Cybermen. You have these fascists under the pretense of being logic trying to co-opt another force to override humanity. And they never asked humanity what they need and why, right? These logicians. But it's undermined by things like making Turbomen a barely verbal servant. They knew better even in the 60s.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
They absolutely did. Stephen has a wonderful voice.
It's a great voice, isn't it?
No, that's not Stephen.
That's not Stephen. That is The Future is for Everyone.
Yeah, over on Blue Sky.
Blue Sky.
I'm not sure.
Well, The Future is for Everyone has a wonderful voice.
He does. Yeah.
But I think he's right. They should have known better. But I think, as we have discussed, and I've said many times, history must never be swept under the carpet, and you have to view uncomfortable things in even the stuff we love within the social and historical context of the time. So that's all I would say on that. But I agree. It's by today's standards, by any day's standards, it's wrong. But they are fascists, and actually, funnily enough, there's some parallels I see with Robot in that you've got a bunch of sort of semi-misguided scientists that are trying to reanimate the Cybermen. I think I've made my opinion of Ashad relatively clear in the past. That for me, he's a poor man's Davros. I don't think the Cybermen ever needed that character. And
Cut him off. Cut him off.
But I do agree with him that the updated version of the Mondasian Cybermen in World of Time is really good. It's a really good update, and I would love to do those Cybermen because I agree with them 100%. They got them right, and the fact that you can see that it's a human, they kind of reinforced it with the guys in the white socks, and I don't necessarily think it needed that, but they got it right.
They got it right.
It's great mix of human and machine that was lost, 100% was lost as we went along, to the point where we get Iron Man Cybermen, which I know I've just done the figure and I think it's lovely and I'm never going to stop. But, you know, as I've said before, the minute you've just put in a brain in a robot as a Wetworks processor, it's a robot. It's a robot. It's a robot with a bit of brain running it. You know,
fiber of cerebral cortex, and that's all there is. I think actually what the futures for everyone said was quite interesting, actually, because the one of the in the Tomb of the Cybermen, you've got a real power play between this society of logicians, and they do seem to think they're better than everybody else in the way that the Cybermen perhaps see themselves as the kind of, you know, the ultimate expression of logic. You know, it's quite a nice thing. You've got the humans trying to be logicians, and you've got the Cybermen who they're just the Cybermen. You know, they exist to kind of make everybody else like them, which is pretty much what fascists want to do, really.
But it is. That's why I say there's parallels with Robot. Actually, thinking about it, there's parallels with Silver Nemesis, where you get the Nazis again, basically coming. So there is that kind of like thing of, you know, you're the giants, we're the Supermen, or vice versa.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly that. Yeah, the giants
work together and make the world a better place because we know better than everyone else.
Straight out of Nietzsche. But I also did a little bit of research on Roy Stewart, who's the guy who played Toberman as well, actually, and he was in another Doctor Who story a bit later on. He was in Terror of the Autons, and before Tomb of the Cybermen, he had an uncredited role as a Saracen warrior. But interestingly as well, what he did outside of his TV work. So he came to London, or came to Britain in the 1940s and signed up as a kind of stuntman. And his whole thing was, you know, the fact that he was a black stuntman, and there weren't really anyone around. And if people were going to be stuntmen in those days, they'd have to, you know, they literally black up. So, you know, it's kind of right what you're saying about the sign of the times. You know, that was still very much a part of the way of doing things back then. But I think by the 1960s, in a sort of, you know, much, or a society that was pushing freedoms, you know, to the forefront, and trying to, where you had a sort of adolescent generation becoming as liberal as they possibly could. It's that kind of, that transition period between one and the other. But also, which I didn't know, and I should have known this, and it annoys me that I didn't know this, but Roy Stewart was also in Live and Let Die, the first Roger Moore Bond film, where he played Quarrel Jr. Yeah. Oh. So I'm gonna look out for him next time. To be fair, I haven't watched that. I haven't watched Live and Let Die that much because it's not my favourite Bond film. I tend to fall asleep during it, but it's but another interesting thing is that so Roy also ran like a gym in Kensington. It was called hold on, it was called the Globe. There you go. And it was kind of open door policy to anybody. So, you know, it didn't matter what colour you were, where you came from. If you wanted to train there, you could train there. And one of the people who did train there was a young Dave Prowse, who, as we all know, went on to become world famous as a Green Cross Code Man in the 70s. So,
Darth Vader.
Oh yeah, and Darth Vader, obviously. Yeah, of course. You know, some bit part that he played. Yeah. So
I think it's interesting because Star Trek's always held up as the pinnacle of, they were so inclusive. They were the first people that had this multicultural crew. But actually, arguably, Doctor Who had a lot of multicultural actors in it far earlier. Maybe not represented well.
Not in the best roles, perhaps.
Not in the best roles, but certainly presented, certainly presented. But I agree, not always in the best.
Yeah, I think Doctor Who kind of went to by the end of the spectrum, depending on who was directing it. You know, when you look at something like Talons of Weng-Chiang, where we do have a Chinese cast, but the main speaking role is not by a Chinese guy, it's by a very white actor with yellow face.
What was interesting was a dialogue on one of the forums about this recently, and it was somebody who said that they found Mr. Sin as
Yeah.
they'd found Mr. Sin as highly offensive, and I was surprised because, unlike you, I would have thought surely the offensive bit would be the fact that a white guy basically being made up to look like a Chinese national. But they took more offense at Mr. Sin, and that what was interesting there for me was that one, he was played by an Indian chap, and two, the Chinese homunculus is essentially a robot with the cerebral cortex of a pig, and it was simply dressed that way as part of the stage show. So it was very interesting, but they were very much of the opinion that Mr. Sin is offensive. You should never release that figure. And I was really thrown because I thought the offense would have been that the guy playing Lee San Chang was basically a Caucasian.
Because the mask of Mr. Sin comes from Chinese mythology, if I'm not mistaken. It's the demon, one of the demon figures from Chinese mythology that's kind of acted out in the streets in various festivals. I'm pretty sure they kind of took something reminiscent of that and cast it in, sort of made it for
I'm not saying he's right. I can't tell you what offends.
No, of course.
All I can say is I found it odd because but I did find it odd because that was the bit that caused offence was Mr. Sin, whereas arguably I would have said, Mr. Sin's a construct. He's a robot that's been, hustled into being part of a Victorian stage show, and he's basically been dolled up in Chinese iconography, but he's essentially a living person. He is, as I say, a robot. But we're back to wet works, aren't we? Because it's a robot.
Exactly. But it's a vicious one with a knife. And yet, by the same token, we also have Robots of Death in the very same season, which has one of the most diverse characters cast list of any Doctor Who story. But there's just not many of those examples. I think Resurrection of the Daleks a little bit later on, where it casts predominantly Asian.
Resurrection's pretty good
cast. Which is pretty good for
Destiny.
that. But
Destiny has a lot, but they're mostly portrayed as the slaves. I would get that. It did. I think they got to the point. There's not many other instances in the 70s shows where you can kind of hang the sort of like the blackface or the somebody dressed up in the way. They seem to move past that, so they still, you get to things like Planet of Evil, and the crew are relatively multicultural. But like I say, it's social and historical context, and I, for one, am not for sweeping stuff under the table. I do not approve of trying to pretend that history didn't happen. I think you take it full on and say, was that good? No. But it is of its time and of its, we learn nothing if we sweep history under the carpet. In my opinion.
Should we hear from our last voice note from Stephen?
Yes, go on.
Okay, right. Listen.
Sorry, Stephen. I implied you were the guy that was born it.
I'm sure he doesn't mind.
Let's see what Stephen sounds like.
Oh, yeah. Hello there. It's Stephen Bacon Sandwich here. And I got a question for Al DEWAR, if you're there. Now, I want to know, and tell me this, and tell me no more. Your man there, Asha, the lone Cyberman, when's she coming out? I've been waiting for hours. I've been waiting for days, for months, for years, even to see this wee fella on the shelves. And I cannot see him. Every morning I get up and I go out to my shop and I look online and I can't see him nowhere. So when are you putting him out? I want to know, and I want to be first in the queue to buy him. And I tell you what, it's not just me. There's a whole bunch of us here who want Ashad. So get out, pull your finger out, and get him on them shelves right now.
Why is it I feel like I've been set up? I feel like I've been set up.
I've not listened to that message.
Didn't you hear it?
Stephen Bacon Sandwich.
Stephen Bacon Sandwich here. Tell me this and tell me no more.
You'll have to listen to Dave. Is it Dave Tomato Fingers who phoned in?
I don't know why we're suddenly attracting these kind of people to our podcast, honestly.
What I would say, Stephen, is
Fuck
He's
off.
He's not on any plans yet. Who knows?
Who knows? He will be
But,
first in the queue along with his 12 mates. That's for
As
sure.
I've always said, I'm not always a fan of certain characters, but it won't stop me necessarily making them because they're popular. AKA Iron Man Cyberman, which is not one of my favourites, especially seeing as it literally looks like Iron Man and flies like Iron Man.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it is a massive favourite, and we finally committed to a big chunk of.
Yes, I've seen some people very happy about that.
I mean, if these fly off the shelves in sort of record time and become as rare as hen's teeth, could that be a bit more persuasive for an Ashad?
I mean, the future is for everyone. Lee, I think his name is. He would surely
absolutely
buy an Ashad. I'll convince you yet, Al.
Never say never. That's what. Never say never. Stavros, here we come.
Guys, have we got time for some questions, or it's quite late? I'm wondering if we need to do a second part next week sometime.
Should we do a quick fire round? Just super quick and
okay.
We'll try and not take. How many questions are there to go?
Well, there's like 33.
Oh, well, let's do a couple more and then we can come back.
More and then we might do another one later.
All right, yeah. So you need to go. Right, first one. Jay, Fourth Doctor Stan 74 says, what inspired you to do a Gen 3 Fourth Doctor figure with more accessories?
Just as I've always said, he's one of my favourites, and he's one of the more popular Doctors, I would say, arguably. I thought I've seen a number of requests for Fourth Doctor with popped collars, and I wanted to try that. I wanted to do something different with the scarf. I thought, in reality, I thought all the Doctors need updating, but if I was going to experiment with any of them, I was going to start with that one. So that's the motivation. It's not that, yes, he's my favourite, but I would happily apply that sort of methodology to all the Doctors. I think they all are of their time, and I think updating them and making them, they're the hero figures. So
giving them a fresh version. Yeah. Okay, brilliant. Daniel Pedersen, who's at Bizarre Nerd, says, if the collect and build range becomes a permanent fixture, what would be your personal choices in next year's set, and what would your dream build figure be?
I honestly, I'll cross that bridge when we come to it. I like doing things differently, so I don't think there's any guarantee that collect and build will necessarily happen next year. It was a massive chunk of money. No joking. It will depend on a bunch of things. It will depend on the economic climate, cost of plastics, whether this range does well, whether we're selling the same number of sets. I think maybe next year it might be more fun to experiment with different price points. So we maybe have a couple of single figures, a couple of bigger sets, a couple of TARDIS sets. Just play around with it. I don't necessarily think I want to just keep repeating collect and build. I'm not 100% sure that's the way I'd want to go. But it'd be interesting. I mean, if it's massively successful, then hell yes, that would be something to look at. And that's all I'll say on that, because we have a lot of figures.
Okay. Right, I'll do two more questions quickly. Jack D. Evans, who's at Moonman Unit 42, says, love that we're getting a Mr. Dingaling bendy figure. Were there any challenges in making a bendy figure rather than a regular figure with numerous articulated parts?
Yes, size-wise, he should have been smaller, but he would have been massively difficult to articulate in any meaningful way in a smaller size. We might have got some sort of swivel joint on the arms and the legs and stuff. The bendy figure means that the figure has to be bigger because the way the tools are set up. And if you look at the back of the figure, one thing that's common to all bendy figures is there's holes through the back of the hands,
Yes.
the back of the feet, and that's from holding the wire armature that goes into the mold in place. So he's got those. You don't see them in that image, but he's got those. So he's got the holes in the back of the hands and stuff. But it seemed worth a try. It seemed to be something that, right from the start, I just thought we should do this as a bendy figure.
Be done.
The fact that he's bigger than he perhaps should be, I think, is a worthwhile kind of sacrifice to get a cool bendy figure like that. When you couldn't have done it, smaller, like you said. So, yeah, I think it's kind of.
Well, he's tiny. There's a picture of the 15th Doctor on the stage, kneeling down, talking to Mr. Ring-a-Ding, and he's looking down. He's actually bending down on his haunches, on his knees, and he's talking to him, and he's still looking down on him. He's literally 2.5 feet high.
It's only when he's on the actual cinema screen that he's gigantic, isn't it?
Yeah. So that's where the figure's from, obviously. Yeah.
Obviously,
he's a fancy character, and so I just
all right, one more question for tonight. Steve Caruthers, who's at Wigan_Stephen. Carruthers, yeah, sorry.
Well done, sir.
He says, is there any articulation in the Wirrn? We've already spoken about that. Are there any figures that almost made it but were sidelined for another figure?
Yeah. Funnily enough, the Wirrn was, as I've said, a shoe-in for a figure that didn't make it. I can't actually discuss that.
Do it when we finish recording.
Well, partly because it might turn up next year, and I don't really spoil that surprise.
Yeah, don't blow it.
That was a a figure. Early on, there was a couple of figures. I think that was the only one. And the second part, or the first part of his question was, is it articulated? Yes, so it's got a little bit of waist articulation, it's got a tiny bit of movement in the head, but it's essentially the arms are just wibbly
arms.
Wibbly arms.
I hope the package says that includes wibbly arms.
Includes wibbly action, I think.
The wibble.
Yeah.
It's a genuine wibble action, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it here first on the Wirrn. The Wirrn with the wibble. The Wirrn wibble. The wibble and Wirrn. Ah, yeah, look at that. Look at that. Boom. Straight.
He's on it.
Look at that. I'm on fire. Might be late, but jeez.
Right. We better sign off for now, as it's getting late. Paul's gone crazy because it's past his bedtime. So, Al, thank you very much for joining us. This has been a pleasure to talk about the new range of figures. We'll talk a bit later and see if we can get back together next week and go through some more of those questions that people have sent in. And perhaps we can...
yes, I'm very upset I didn't get to sit in on your Cyberman discussion. I'm going to go and watch that now. And find out.
I was going to say, perhaps...
What did you say?
What did you say about them? What? They're talking rubbish. Get on the keyboard.
We'll have a chat and see what we can come up with to do next week, as well as answering some questions. Perhaps we can have a look at another episode of some sort and have a chat through that whilst we answer some questions.
Episode.
Yeah.
Yes.
Brilliant. All right. Thank you, good sirs. And thank you, listeners. Thanks, you, people who sent in questions and sound bites, audio questions.
Yes.
And we will catch you very soon on Who Corners Corner podcast.
Next time. See you later. Bye for now.
See ya. Bye.
See ya.